Yeah, you ready? All right, so this is the coolant reservoir, properly mounted and secured. All nuts and bolts are present and tight, not cracked, bent, or broken. The cap is hand tight, it's filled to the proper level, and it's not leaking. This is the radiator and the radiator fan. They're both properly mounted and secured. All nuts and bolts are present and tight, not cracked, bent, or broken. The radiator is not leaking. This is the water pump, properly mounted and secured. All nuts, bolts present and tight, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's belt driven. This is my oil cap and my oil dipstick, properly mounted and secured. All nuts, bolts present and tight, not cracked, bent, or broken. My oil cap is hand tight. To check my oil, I remove the dipstick, clean it off, put it back in, take it back out, and I only add oil if it's at the add mark. This is my power steering fluid reservoir, properly mounted and secured. All nuts and bolts are present and tight, not cracked, bent, or broken. The cap is hand tight, it's filled to the proper level, and it's not leaking. I'm gonna follow this hose back to the power steering pump, and on top of that is the air compressor. They're gear driven, properly mounted and secured. All nuts, bolts present and tight, not cracked, bent, or broken, and not leaking. Then from there, I got my steering shaft with an upper and lower U-joint, well lubricated. My steering shaft has no more than 10 degrees of play. Then I have my gearbox that's gear driven, my pitman arm, my drag link, my upper and my lower control arm, and my tie rod. They're all properly mounted and secured. All nuts, bolts present and tight, not cracked, bent, or broken. Then I have my suspension. I have my front and my rear mount. I have 2 leaf springs, 2 U-bolts, a shock with an upper and a lower shock mount. All properly mounted and secured. All nuts and bolts are present and tight, not cracked, bent, or broken, and my shock is not leaking. Then I have my brake system, my air hose, my ABS line, my brake chamber, my S-cam bracket, my push rod, and my slack adjuster. They're all properly mounted and secured. All nuts, bolts present and tight, not cracked, bent, or broken. My slack adjuster can have no more than 1 inch of play when the brakes are released. My air hose has no abrasions, bubbles, cuts, or dry rot, and it's not leaking. Inside my tire, I have my brake drum and brake pad, both properly mounted and secured. All nuts and bolts are present and tight, not cracked, bent, or broken. My brake drum can have no more than 1 inch of heat expansion. My brake pad can be no less than 1/4 inch of thickness. Then we come to the tire. The tread on my steer tire is no less than 4/32. My condition is evenly worn. It has no abrasions, bubbles, cuts, or dry rot, and it cannot be a recap. My pressure is no less than 100 PSI by company or manufacturer specs. My tire is seated and beaded to my rim and my air valve stem. They're both properly mounted and secured. All nuts and bolts are present and tight, not cracked, bent, or broken. My rim has no illegal welds. My air valve stem is not leaking. Then I have my lug nuts, properly mounted and secured. All nuts and bolts are present and tight, not cracked, bent, or broken. There are no oblong holes, metal shavings, or rust trails that will indicate a loose lug nut. This is my hub seal, properly mounted and secured. All nuts and bolts are present and tight, not cracked, bent, or broken. To check the oil, I remove the cap, stick my finger in, the oil should come up to my first knuckle. My cap is rubber, it has no abrasions, bubbles, cuts, or dry rot, it's not leaking.